Do you struggle with unforgiveness? Do you struggle with letting go of anger? Do you struggle with revenge? Do you carry the kind of heart that has to make sure that it does bad to someone um, so that it's satisfied? Well, today we are going to talk about forgiveness. Welcome to Alignment. Forgiveness. It's an easy word to say, but very hard to execute. And most of the time, we think that by holding anger or grudge towards the person who has offended us, we are doing ourselves a favor. It's like a silent form of revenge that we are executing towards that person. But what we don't forget, but what we do forget is that they are eating, they are breathing, they are going about their own life. We are the only ones who have given them the mind share and the heart share. We've given them a room in our mind, and most of the time they will occupy 90% of our thoughts, because we feel like we are justified to be angry, and I won't be I won't downplay those emotions, because I mean sometimes people offend us and they do us bad, they do us harm, they do us dirty. How would you manage to encourage a man who has been betrayed by his wife and maybe caught the wife in the bed with another man? What about the same wife who gets the husband with another lady? What kind of betrayal is that? What about the betrayal of the parent who decides to disown the child because the child did not turn out the way the parent expected? What do you say of kids who feel that their children would have done, the parents would have done better, but they did not meet the expectations, and for them they feel that where they are in life is because of their parents? What do you, how do you justify such an anger? How do you downplay such anger? It is indeed justified, but the question is, for how long will you hold on to that emotion? How many hours, how many times, how many opportunities will you lose in life simply because of having a mind that is held on to the past? And today I want to ask you to do yourself a favor. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Actually, when we break down the word forgive, we'll separate it into two. For, which is F-O-R, and give, which is G-I-V-E. For means prior. Give means handing it out. So, in life, we ought to carry an attitude of forgiveness. That means forgive people prior to them offending you. Because I guarantee you in this life, you'll be offended. I can even remind you the offense you went through yesterday. You remember that matatu conductor who went away with your change? You remember that matatu conductor who asked you to pay double and later on insulted you? Do you remember that boda boda guy who saw you coming and decided to pass on your toes? Do you remember walking in that market and somebody was carrying a sack of potatoes and he didn't care about your fare and just hit you with the sack and went away with it? And you are left there feeling so embarrassed, feeling so entitled. And most of the time we say, oh, nyinyi watu wa boda boda, nyinyi ni wajinga, this, you know, the insults that we normally hurl at them. Actually, the easiest insult nowadays, it's the FU word. And most of the times, when an offense comes, it comes to reveal who we are on the inside. The emotions that you express at that moment of offense really show who you are. So I want to ask you something. Can you develop an attitude of forgiveness? Carry a lot of forgiveness in your heart, knowing that in this life you're going to be offended. You're going to be hurt. Your circle of friends will betray you. Your relatives will betray you and all that. So beforehand, when you know that, And they're not doing that intentionally. Some could be doing it intentionally, but because even if they do it intentionally, it's because they are human beings, and human beings are meant to err. And human beings are not perfect, and human beings are instruments that can be used by the power they yield themselves to. I cannot talk about forgiveness without talking about the story that Jesus, or the incident that Jesus brings out in Matthew chapter 18 from verse 21, where he's asked, how many times should one forgive? And he says, 70 times 7 times. You must forgive him even if he wrongs you 70 times 7. That's 490 times. Imagine, every day you ought to carry 490 forgiveness, like that's the capacity you should be carrying on the inside. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. And I know the question you're asking yourself is, so does that mean I should be a license, or does that license for me to be used as a doormat? No, you're not a doormat. There are people whom, once you forgive, you need to love them from a distance. And that's okay. You need to love them from a distance, because there are people who will always take advantage of the kindness expressed through forgiveness. Choose this day to forgive. Choose this day to let go of anger. Remember, bitterness is like taking poison and expecting it to kill the other person. But in real sense, the person who is dying is you. Guard your heart from bitterness. Do not give any human being your mind share. Do not give any human being your heart share. That is space that should be occupied by God, shall be occupied by good thoughts, should be occupied by purpose, should be occupied by ambition, should be occupied by the good things in life, by the things you want to pursue in life. And the funny thing is this: if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, when you read Matthew chapter 6 in the Lord's Prayer, it says, forgive us as we forgive those forgive us as we forgive those who've offended us. That is to say, in the same measure I forgive other people, forgive me, God. And after the Lord's Prayer, it goes down there to say that, for if you do not forgive, your Father in heaven will not forgive. Just think about that. If you carry an offense, the Bible also talks about, and Jesus talks about this, it's better to leave your gift at the altar and go and make ways with your brother, and then come and offer the gift. That means your gift is not acceptable. So think about how many times you've been giving in church and your gift has not been acceptable because you have offense over a brother. Think about how many times you've been praying and asking God for forgiveness and your forgiveness has not been granted because you've not forgiven another person. So for the sake of your destiny, for the sake of your relationship with God, for the sake of your relationship with human beings, choose to practice forgiveness. And remember this, as Proverbs tells us, I believe chapter 3. If not chapter 3, let me just confirm. That says, guard your heart with all, guard your heart. Yes, guard your heart with all diligence. No, yes, it's Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. It tells us to guard our hearts with all diligence. So, guard your heart against offense. Guard your heart from anything else. Because you see these eyes and the ears and the mouth, these are gates. This one, you speak what you want to see in your destiny. This one, you hear what you want to yourself to become. This, you see what you want to envision. So guard those gates and guard your heart. Because it's important to protect yourself from situations that will cause you to sin than to walk into those situations with a justified and self-pride, thinking that by you being angry, you're hurting the other person. My sister, my brother, the world will keep on moving, whether you forgive or not. But do yourself a favor and do your destiny a favor. Forgive. And if you are facing an offense that you feel it's so hard to release, I want to challenge you this day. Can you go on your knees and pray and ask God, please forgive through me. Jesus, forgive through me. Help me to forgive. And I'm guaranteeing you, the weight will be lifted and you'll find it easy to forgive. It has always worked even for me. So remember to like, comment, share on YouTube, subscribe, follow me on TikTok and on Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one. And remember, 490 times forgiveness. Carry them every day with you, because you will always be offended. Have a good day.